Hello, everyone. So this is going to be another Apush podcast. I just need 1 second to sort of just pull up the pages. So, um, for that, I'll just make some like small talk really quickly. It's also very cold right now, so it's a little bit chilly for sure. It's getting into winter. Um, just make sure which page they're. Okay, they're. If 523 is the last page, sorry, not 523. So I'll just go to 492 to 492 to 533. Those are the pages I'll be doing. 492 to 533. Um, Let me just make sure that each topic, I'll just pull up all the topics so I can look at the topic and then talk about it. Okay. It's almost halfway through the year, so it's a little bit good, but it's also a little bit scary because, time's going by fast and a lot of things are coming up. Okay. And, yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. So, I guess let's start with Lincoln's election. After Lincoln's election, so the first topic is the mess of succession. So succession was basically where states are leaving the union. Sorry, 1 second. I need a next couple of Right. Yeah. So going back to what we were talking about. Sorry about that. I got my family members came over. Okay. Yeah. Need to start talking now. Okay, so the secession South Carolina seceded after Lincoln's election. Other states seceded. Confederacy formed. The Confederacy was formed. A couple more things. South Carolina basically invaded Fort Sumter. That was a federal controlled fort that was in the South Carolina Bay, I believe, and Confederates fired on the thing. Basically, some border states were really crucial because they were like on the some of them wanted to secede, some of them were against secession. So it was like they weren't 100% sure. Often families divided and so on and so forth. The South had a lot of experienced officers, obviously, because there was like I believe there was like a lot of the generals were trained in the South, um, like especially General Robert E. Lee, Stonewall Jackson, so on and so forth. The North had a larger population than industry. They had more logistics, and they say logistics always. There's a famous saying that's like logistics win a war, not the army or something like that. So that makes sense why the North won. So they had a couple of names for each other: Billy Yank and Johnny Reb. South expected Britain to sort of, since they needed this cotton, they thought they didn't have a real monopoly on cotton because Britain could get cotton from India, and they need northern wheat. So Britain supported the North, and the Northern also blockaded the Southern trade. So if they couldn't sell cotton, they couldn't make money, and if they can't make money, it's hard to run a war. The first Battle of Bull Run um, was a victory for the South, and the South became overconfident. Um, and McClellan, the Robert E. Lee was doing very well in terms of leading the army, and George McClellan was very sort of really cautious, too safe. And Lincoln shifted to a strategy of total war, and they targeted infrastructure and slavery. And they slowly started blockading the southern trade ports. They started, yeah, so on and so forth. They had new types of ships that were able to basically like block any type, really effective blockade. So Antietam was there's like a famous song or something about Antietam. It's like really bloody. It's crazy bloody. And Lee basically tried to invade Maryland, and McClellan held him. and this victory was sort of allowed the Lincoln to sort of issue the Emancipation Proclamation to get the momentum rolling. Um, Only freed slaves in the Confederate territories and not these border states, so he hoped to like sort of still gain these border territories support. He changed the war's purpose. Now it was sort of a fight to preserve the Union as it was before, but it's also a fight to end slavery. And the African Americans, like a lot of them, served in the military, so on and so forth. Not too really important. Lee eventually in Gettysburg was a big war, and Lee failed. It was a big thing. And Lincoln found a better general. His name was Ulysses S. Grant. Obviously, he became president in the future, but he won some key victories, Vicksburg, so on and so forth. Sherman's like a March to sea, basically had a scorched earth policy, burned everything, destroyed everything. 1864 uh, was reelected, um, and yeah, so war kept going. Grant was sort of like if you guys are fans of Roman history, you know that there's like that what's that guy called Hannibal. Uh, Honestly, already Lee is kind of like the Hannibal of America because same way as Hannibal, he eventually was stopped by Scipio, and that's sort of Ulysses S. Grant. Also, let me just check the time so far. Oh my God, he's beat up. So more Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth. More nationalism. Civil War strengthened federal power and it brought Americans together. Second, South was kind of weak and devastated, and freedom like was kind of hard because even though they were free, now they had to realize how do we make money, how do we survive, how do we get food. The Freedmen's Bureau tried to help them, but it wasn't too successful. It wasn't too funded, and so on and so forth. Andrew Johnson was Lincoln's successor, but he was sort of kind of not I don't want to say racist, but he was kind of racist, and he wanted to preserve sort of these traditional social classes and the white elites. So Johnson just allowed all these southern states back in with no real requirements and allowed a lot of the leaders of the new states were actually former Confederate leaders. Southern states passed laws restricting African Americans' rights, so they wanted people to keep African Americans sharecropping and give them limited economic mobility. Uh, Radical Republicans sort of rejected Johnson's approach. They passed the 14th Amendment and Reconstruction Acts to sort of secure black rights. A couple of other things. Johnson there's obviously the president can veto, and Johnson uses power a lot. He vetoed key Reconstruction bills, but the Congress can actually, I think it's like a two-thirds majority. They can actually override the veto, and it leads to like a power struggle. Johnson's angry speeches against the Congress kind of backfired. So finally, some women's rights advocates were like, "Oh, we want to vote too." They were frustrated, but it didn't really happen. Um, Ku Klux Klan, um, the violent white supremacist group, and they're still around to this day, but they've decreased a bunch in their power. They're still like the Grand Wizard, but they've unfortunately that sort of they aren't what they once were, and I think Black Americans are feel much more safe nowadays. Um, so Johnson escaped his impeachment. He was impeached, but he escaped the removal of office by one vote. William Seward bought Alaska, and people thought it was stupid, but later on we realized it was brilliant because Alaska has a lot of oil, a lot of good stuff, and oil, very important for our economy right now. Uh, and the second, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments gave some black people some protections, but this led to sharecropping and often some situations even worse than slavery. Um, Reconstruction ended. All right, so that's a lot. So just to summarize it quickly, let me add on to the last final questions. Which part surprised me the most? I mean, to be honest, nothing really surprised me because we've already learned all this stuff in past years, so it's nothing new at all. Yeah. Uh, how does any of this relate to my daily life? Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it relates to my daily life at all. I'm trying to find a connection here, but I just really don't see one. I guess Johnson was impeached, and I don't know. In my lifetime, there was a president that was impeached, so I suppose that's somehow relates a little bit. Like impeachment is a formal accusation. Yeah, I don't really see anything other than that. I suppose you could like say something really, really abstract when you'd be like African American struggle. But to be honest, I mean, uh, I know it's very important, but it hasn't really related directly to my life too much. Being fortunate as I am, um, to be from Arizona, where the situation is not bad. But yeah, thank you guys for the videos. Yeah, I'm end it here.